So my session with Teju was quite interesting. So I remember very well before we started recording, and I think I had Adora before her, and it made so much of sense when Teju said I had intent when working with Adora before I had to grow, and for me it showed growth, and her perspective about the world of work now for her that is currently leading different generations the workplace gives us much to learn. So you see, at the end of the day, every lesson that comes from the perspective of every guest we've had is what it is in the new work, in the new place of work. So it's left for you to sit back and say, okay, this is what the experts are saying. This is how it is in the current workplace, and this is how I should adjust. So if you're about to learn what it is in the new workplace and you're thinking, how is it done, then I think this episode and season is one you should watch. When you're done listening, take action, share the video, subscribe to our own channel, and we hope to serve you better, and we hope to solve most of the challenges you have in the workplace by continuously engaging with you. It feels good to be back. Welcome to the BTC show. So I have an amazing guest. Hi Teju, good to have you.
Hi Charles, I'm glad to be here.
Same here. Teju, why did you choose HR?
Well,
Or HR chose you?
Oh no, HR didn't. Well, HR chose me. I've actually shared that story on Instagram. I think my experience with HR, or my journey into HR, started with a negative interview experience I had.
Yeah.
I used to work and live in Abuja, so I came to Lagos for an interview. For a visit, and I had an interview, and I got there for about 1 p.m. I didn't leave there until about some few minutes before 7. I was to interview for an executive assistant position with a very popular lady in Nigeria. I wouldn't mention her name. And I was there for about 5-6 hours. As I was sitting there, I was angry, as in I was boiling. Right. So that was the experience that got me interested in HR, that this is inhumane, this shouldn't happen. And I expressed my emotions there and then. So that was how I found myself in HR. So in 2017, after leaving an e-commerce company I used to work with, I traveled for some trainings and came back to Nigeria and started my journey into human resources.
Okay. So the idea why we chose you was that we looked at there are different kinds of HR. We're looking at HRs that have the human face. So, so for the new workplace, the idea was that work completely changed after COVID. And we started having the likes of the hybrid and the remote. So which does the organization use, hybrid, remote?
Interesting question. So I work for a multinational, right?
Yeah.
So it's an international organization. We have employees scattered across the world. So we have a high number of our employees working remotely. However, for the local teams, it's a sort of hybrid position, but also not hybrid.
Okay.
Because what we do, we need people to be on ground.
Okay, perfect.
However, for each department, it's at the discretion of the line manager. We are not rigid. We are open to it, but of course, the business sustainability comes first. So I would like to say we practice both the remote and hybrid.
What idea would you say makes sense? Which would you rather choose? Which are the pros and the cons? Because it's my opinion that we're just trying this. Everyone is winging and trying to see which one works.
Yeah.
So for the Nigerian context, as a HR professional, what are the pros and the cons of each, and how do you think individuals and organizations should be able to manage this new reality?
First things first, during the COVID period, a lot of businesses had mapped out their business continuity plan to see how the business can survive in the face of the pandemic while they are home. And I think it was during that period that a lot of companies said that, oh, we can actually work remotely, right? But I also dare to say that this is not something for everybody. For remote working, you need to understand your business model, right? I love hybrid, I love remote. There are days, I can choose to work remotely. Even if I don't come to the office, my teams can run things on ground. But I also see that human interaction
Yeah.
is necessary for the sustainability of a business.
Yeah.
For instance, if you look at yourself, if I ask you which do you prefer, a phone call or a text message or a chat, which would you choose? You most likely say chat. There are many of us that we get really agitated when a call comes through.
Yeah,
It didn't
yeah.
take a day to get there.
Yeah.
It started gradually. Oh, I don't want to interact. Let me just chat. One day we just said, oh, we couldn't tolerate phone calls. It's the same thing with hybrid and remote working. You may say, oh, I want to be woke and I want all my team members to work remotely. But eventually, what would happen is you would have a certain level of entitlement. Oh, I must work remotely. But what you want to do is look at your business. Do you want to say, oh, you know what? You guys must come into the office twice a week because I want that human interaction.
Yeah.
If there's no human interaction, you may not be able to build a business that can sustain, right? There's just a limit to what you can do remotely. So I would say the business should prioritize its needs, what you're looking to achieve. Even if people don't need to work together, let them come, let them forcefully. In my organization, the leaders have a day of the week where we work together. And not for anything, it's not a meeting, but you just work within the same conference room and you share ideas. And it was suggested by another leader. And since we started that, we have been able to address a lot of issues that ordinarily nobody would have talked about it because we are all working from our offices.
Yeah.
So human interaction is key. Remote, hybrid, even for technology teams, engineering teams, let them come into the office once a while. Yeah. They can comfortably not come, but let it be clear during the initial contract of employment. It's great for you to come. You can have programs, activities that encourages that so that you don't get lost or at some point become cranky when they have to meet other colleagues. So for me, both works, but the business model, what you're trying to achieve, productivity level, and probably also putting some tools in place to help manage productivity. It could even be as simple as making it project-based responsibilities rather than tasks. So that way you're not checking, are you online? What are you doing?
Yeah, yeah, because I think that most people are not comfortable with that. They feel you're trying to monitor me. So that's why I'm like, for you that is experiencing it, what do you think is a better way to approach it? Because as far as I'm concerned, the reason why, and I strongly concur with what you said when you said human interactions, the reason why from the perspective of a business owner, you need to feel you need people around is that culture is also changing, and you also need the younger ones to understand how it's being done here. So for most people that how do you think you can help? What's the best way to speaking to most of the Gen Zs that used to remote work, that feel this is it on the, because I've heard of people turn down job assignments because it was purely they didn't give them time opportunity to be to come to the office. What do you think is your own feedback as a professional in this field? Yeah.
So let me just say this quickly before I move to the point. See, in Nigeria, a lot of employees lack the discipline to work remotely. I'm sorry.
I was about getting there.
I just had to say that.
Yeah.
The discipline is not there. The issue is not remote working, but some people cook. You have meetings, and I'm so sure someone is frying plantain, right? So people are not disciplined to understand that just because you're working remotely does not mean you should be making Indomie or go to the salon to make your hair, right? So those are things you need to put in place to be clear on what you're supposed to do. Now, the other points, if you want to encourage employees to come into the office or to work and improve human interaction, you need to build an enabling environment. And I'll use an example. We recently made a new hire and 100% remote. Not 100% anyway, let's say 80% remote. And when he got into the office, he was very much, in fact, he kept saying that, oh, does he have to be in the office only just within that time? He had to say, oh, we're saying that he should come in only maybe twice weekly. What if he wants to come every day or maybe 4 times? He just wanted to get clarity that it doesn't have to be the 2 times, maybe that's it. And that's because he came into the organization And he saw the environment. He saw the people, the welcoming, the way he was addressed, the way he was attended to, and he loved it.
Yeah. Yeah.
So you can't force people not to want to work, because I mean, it's Lagos, Nigeria, the commute.
Yeah.
You can leave your house 6 and you're not even in the office by 9 a.m.
True.
So it's one of the major reasons people want to work remotely. So I believe creating an enabling environment and basically anything that would improve human interaction, even for myself at my level, I'm happy working remotely. But when I see the people I'm going to be seeing every day, or, you know, putting processes in place that makes people excited to come into the organization, right? And speaking to maybe being clear about what is expected. And I'm also open to having a day of the week where you're clear that people should come to the organization to work and improve interaction.
So that's very key.
Extremely key for me.
How do we build the discipline? Because it looks like, now, good question. What's your own etiquette for remote work? From the how you, because it's obvious you're talking about those being in their own salons and using their own phones. And it's obvious that because nobody, what you want is you want me to do the job, right? I've done the job. So what do you think is basic etiquette for this era that nobody has said openly, but we feel, at least you have sense, you should know. Because the conversation is that we always say you have sense, but I feel there has not been laid down, this is how. So let's hear from Teju, how should it be done so that we hold people responsible next time?
Right. So I think, I'll use an example. When I joined my organization, I mean, I was coming from an organization where during meetings, you turn off your video, and whether you're there, you can mute it, but you're there. When they ask you questions, you can literally just unmute and you start talking. So when I joined my organization, of course, that's the culture I was coming from. So my video was on because I saw that everybody had their video. No, my video was not turned on. Then I was typing. Immediately, everybody panicked. Oh, what's wrong with Teju's laptop? What's going on? Asking other colleagues there to check what. I was like, nothing is wrong with my laptop. It's fine. They said, your video is not on. Is there a system malfunction? So I had to turn on my video. I turned it on and I was still working on my system. And everybody paused that. Let's wait for Teju to finish. Oh, wow. So you just had to be looking. So that was the first etiquette.
Yeah.
That you are on a Zoom call with your colleagues, you are not doing something else. You're looking at the camera and you're talking. Maybe as you're talking, you're jotting down. So that was the number one etiquette I was introduced to. So I feel for remote working, you want people to work remotely, but you want to establish a certain level of discipline. You have to be clear. On Mondays, we're going to be having meetings. Maybe you share updates. During the meeting, everybody, your videos on. I can wake up, if I have a meeting by 8 a.m. and I'm working remotely, I can wake up 7:50 and turn off my video, and still with my hair next. You won't know, right? So that discipline has to be mastered. It does not have to be maintained. But you know that on Monday, you have to look good enough to turn on your video. So during meetings, if you're on your video, you're not supposed to eat. You're not supposed to, you can take water, you can take coffee, right? You present, something that requires effort from you. Because it's possible for you to work remotely if you're not doing any project-based activities that you just be working on your phone, you won't turn on your laptop. So make it project-based. On Wednesdays, you submit your presentations. On Thursdays, something that can be tracked.
Okay.
Right? So once you put that to be very clear when you're working remotely, and if you're working remotely, you need to share your information, maybe with your line manager, or send an email to other stakeholders that will be working remotely on these days. For hybrid, I think it should be clear the days you're supposed to, let's say you have 5 people in your team and you can only have 2 people work remotely in a week. So that means there should be schedules, maybe a week or 2 weeks before. And this is when I'll be going off, and when you're, working remotely. And if you're working remotely, you're required to, some line managers want your video turned on for the entire day. I don't buy into that. Right.
Yeah.
But yes, those little etiquettes that ensure involvement, interaction.
How about wearing a suit and boxers?
So honestly, even myself, I've attended interviews, just putting on. I'm sure if they tell me stand, let us see you.
Because we had several stands. during the pandemic.
No, I think so. It's just those little things. Make sure your hair is at least looking neat. If you're meeting with clients, if you're having client meetings, make sure you have your hair. Don't stand from your bed. I've literally interviewed someone who was lying down on the bed. I've
True.
interviewed someone who was shirtless. I mean,
They were showing you biceps.
and he was like, "Oh, can you see me?"
Yes, you could see the biceps.
So those are the little etiquette. You're meeting with clients because we can't see you, we can't see what you're doing. This is what you should do. The basic thing, you're conducting interviews, you're interviewing candidates. Make sure you're not doing this outside the shop in your house. You're in your room, you're somewhere quiet, use a landscape, maybe your laptop, or if you're using your phone, let people know. So those are the little etiquettes that organizations can put in place. So because, like you said, people don't know. What we lack is discipline.
Yeah.
You have 8 a.m. meeting, it's not 8 a.m. you should log in.
Good. You should be there
I expect you to have logged in from 7:55.
Okay.
Because some people have been guilty to before. 8 a.m. Hey, your Microsoft Teams messes up. Or your Zoom tells you, time to update.
Okay.
You now come in, I apologize, I was keeping you. So those little things that as Nigerians we don't count. Discipline is not really our strength.
Okay.
As citizens. So.
Okay, good. So this year we had an interesting. So we've had more people in Nigeria. They call it what name? Japa. Japa simply, I think people had to, for non-Nigerians, we're looking at people had to move jobs. That's in a very simple way. Most people left their organizations because most left for greener pasture, most left to study. But the big deal there was that most organizations were not prepared for what happened after it. And even though it was an opportunity for the rest, but most of the sectors got the backside of it, the bad side of it, because most of their strong hands had left and they couldn't find recruitment. How do you think we could, two questions, how did organizations around you, because I know most HRs had this meeting, how did HRs manage that season more? And how do you think we could correct something like that in the future?
It was a chaotic moment. I mean, it took a lot of people by surprise because, people were not telling you. You get to work the next day and maybe you saw the person's resignation letter, or even HR themselves, they've jackpot. So it took a lot of people by surprise. I, however, think...
Was it really about the jackpot? Was it about human? Because my big question is, if you were good to HR, if you had good human relationship, you can't wake up one day and leave your friends. Except there's something else. Because is it more to people wanting to leave, or does it have to do with culture or just a good life?
Well, honestly, I think Jackpa, or the mass exodus of youth, millennials, Gen Zs from Nigeria, probably organizations have something to do with it. But I think it goes beyond toxicity in the workplace. Okay. It goes beyond bad management. Okay. I have a lot of friends outside the country and a lot of workplace shenanigans. Trust me, I think they're even mild compared to outside the shores of the country. The Nigerian workplace system is still unstructured. There are a lot of things you can get away with, using your system to watch YouTube, Facebook, Instagram, or, just faffing. You can't get away with such. Maybe in the UK, in the US, they're tracking your productivity. Every hour counts. So in Nigeria, there's still laxity within the organization. So I don't think it's the max exodus we saw in the last 1 year has more to do with a failed system. Okay. Because if you think about it, if you're earning, the people that live in Nigeria are people that were comfortable, people with mid to high earning power. You have to be at a certain level of comfortability to even be thinking of, I want to jackpot. Is it someone that is hungry, that you are not, your salary, by the time your salary comes, your debit alert is already about 90%. Jackpot requires you to have a minimum certain thousands of dollars. Yeah. You're going for masters. Hungry people don't go for masters in the UK or US. How many percentage of these people are going on scholarship? So you see that it has little to do with the way my boss treats me. It's understanding that, oh, I can do this thing in the UK, US. Yes, the tax will take my money, but I'm guaranteed of security. I'm guaranteed. You see, the way Nigeria is designed, Nigeria is not designed to reward you. Can you see yourself 20 years from now, what you'll be doing? If you're not in politics, if you don't have connection to someone up there.
So it's a reward system thing.
Exactly. You can, if you move out of Nigeria, maybe UK, US, you know that you're guaranteed of peace. Once you're doing your job, the government cares for you. You can, in Nigeria, the way it's designed, you can't thrive if you don't know the right people in power. You must be connected to be relevant in Nigeria. This is what people are exiting for. You can't see your career advancement in the organization you're working for. You can't discuss with your line manager, though, I need a raise. It can even get you a query. The system is designed to make life hard for you. People got tired. So it's not like they are out there, they are doing fantastically better, but they have peace. People are resigning 2 million, 3 million, 4 million naira job to go to UK.
So it had nothing to do, you feel it had nothing to do with work?
I feel it's just a cloud.
Okay.
It's a film.
Okay.
My boss is, you don't just withdraw 10 million naira because my boss shouted at me during the conference meeting. It's a big pent up. You live, even if you create an enabling environment for your employees, when they step out of your company, how is life for them? It takes them 3-4 hours to get to their house. It takes them, they are going, the police can arrest them because they have dreadlocks. You are not even guaranteed, you can just be walking on your own or even be gymming and a stray bullet finds you. So the system itself is the problem.
Okay.
So that is why, that is the reason, the major reason for exodus. Now, how can organizations help or reduce or manage this? Is to get involved. Even if you make your organization El Dorado, a place where people come and it's a happy place, it's like a party, what happens when they leave? So those are conversations different organizations need to have. I belong to some powerful networks on WhatsApp, and even the conversations we have, they are selfish conversations, right? Businesses, what we can do to better our lives, or yes, we also complain sometimes, but who is moving the needle? Who is in the position of power? Some people have connections to maybe ministers, senators, presidents, even the executive assistant to president. You know, are you having that conversation? What's the thing we're doing to ensure that if our employees, so it goes beyond even the banking industry. There's been a lot of crisis, people having money hanging, it's not being resolved because their engineers, they've left. But
I think that's the big one, yeah.
You can't create El Dorado in isolation. Everything has to connect. So even if you build, you're giving people 5 million naira monthly, 10 million naira monthly, and they step out of their office and SARS or the police catches them and, you know, or someone harasses them, or they're even going, they obtain from them, or a thief, you know, or they get kidnapped. But after that experience, be rest assured that they are saying, this is it. A lot of people that have jackpot, a percentage of them had an epiphany, a negative epiphany.
About the country.
About the country. Some people, maybe their family member got kidnapped or they lost someone. A lot of people that I saw that relocated, they had a negative experience that made it like, this is it, I'm out of the country. So until we begin to see things beyond our own horizon. So organizations need to come together. There needs to be a collection of passionate ideas, passionate movements. How do we retain our talent? Because talents are leaving.
Yep.
As I'm talking to you right now, are you telling me that if I get a call from maybe Amazon or Elon Musk calls me or Tim Cook, I would say he's Nigerian? No.
Okay, so how is the best way to japa without because the concern is not that people left. The concern was that my big concern was that most organizations didn't see it coming and the vacuum. So what's the better way to what's the better way to help, and how can organizations, because most of those that left, that organizations that had people that left and informed them, most people felt if they had informed them. So how do we reduce this heartbreak? It's like a heartbreak that would happen. So how do the heartbreaker and the heartbreaky, if there's something like that, make each other happy even when they make these life selfish decisions?
For me, I think there's just one point. Have a listening system.
Okay.
A lot of
Perfect.
Nigerian businesses do not listen.
Okay.
Right? The truth is, employees don't just wake up and leave. The signs are always there. Some people don't talk, but it's clear. What systems have you put in place that when employees complain or give feedback? As HR professionals, we do a lot of surveys, you do presentation, you do the slides, you put it on Power BI. What happens after that? This is what people are complaining. Are you presenting it to management? This is what we need to do. So people give you time. Oh, I've complained that someone tells you, oh, I feel I deserve a salary increase. Or I've seen what this person is earning. I'm doing more than this person. I think I deserve a salary increase. If the person says it once, says it twice, says it a third time, do you think they forgot about it? If you don't do anything, of course, they are using your internet to find another job. They didn't just say, oh, fine, let me just manage it. They are looking. So they've told you they are dissatisfied. Or you hire someone and someone tells you, oh, I want to earn 3 million naira. Or I want to earn 500,000 naira. And you say it's only 250,000 we're going to offer you. And the person does not have another offer and they take the 250,000. You and I know that this person is currently looking for a 500,000 naira job. So that is it. You need to have a listening system. It took a lot of companies by surprise because the power was tilted to the employer alone.
Yeah, true.
They had the power. You were the end all be all, right? There were no other options. But right now, people are fighting to hire.
Yeah.
Oh, this person is working for, just go and offer this person 100,000 naira more. They will leave your company.
Yeah.
So what else are you doing to build? So build the listening system. There has to be a connect. Most organizations, the model is from, let's say, a triangle, right? Top to bottom, your communication style. Do you communicate outward inward or inward outward? Do you cascade information down or do you share opinions, ideas? What are the feedback? How well are you listening to people? So if you're not doing all that, it's only a matter of time. So build a listening system where people can give feedback and they know that something will be done. If you do that, people can relocate. You can't stop that.
Yep.
Because you can't afford what they are going to be paid. I mean, looking at the valuation of Naira right now.
Yeah.
But how can they help you improve? You want to leave, or what's the best way? What can we do? Even if you leave, can you still be working for us? Your role allows you to.
Perfect,
People
because
are
I think
open
that
to
was a
that.
conversation people were having. Can you, when you relocate for the next couple of months, could you work? And people could offer, I would work for the next 3 months while we look for replacement. And I think that also
Absolutely. A lot of organizations do that. We do that, right? You're not being terminated.
Yeah.
You were adding value.
Yeah.
And you relocated. Oh, before we find someone else, is this something? Absolutely, I'm interested. But the truth is, a lot of organizations were not interested in those conversations until it happened.
Until it happened. Yeah, that's true. Yeah.
If you in fact, up till this moment, there are organizations that you cannot even as HR bring that remote. You will get a query. Wait, you HR, you are suggesting that people should work from home. So that conversation is not even happening in some rooms. And maybe this is not even a production company.
Yeah.
It's a service company.
Yeah.
How do you make life easy? Commuting is terrible because the reality of leaders are not the same with employees.
True.
Some wake by 5 a.m., 4:30. Someone working in Ikorodu and living in Ikorodu and working in VI. Some working, living in, let's say, Okota and working in Lekki. What time would you think they leave their homes? 4, 5 a.m. So these are conversations. You must be sensitive to the economy and how you can adjust it.
Perfect. So, final one. What's your feedback for Gen Zs in the workplace?
Surprisingly, I have fantastic working relationships with Gen Zs. I have a lot of Gen Z employees.
Awesome.
I think a company is responsible for the direction and drive of how the Gen Zs. I see a lot of negative feedback comments about Gen Zs, but I don't have one. because we're very clear as a business, and even friends I've helped in hiring Gen Zs. Once your direction, your business goal, your culture, and what you stand for is clear, the Gen Zs will conform. The only thing is, it's only an organization that hates feedback that will have a problem with Gen Zs.
Because they will give you feedback.
They will give you feedback. They don't have, what do they call, in their eyes, they say it as it is. So you must be receptive, and you can train them on how to give feedback.
Okay.
You're giving feedback, it doesn't have to be negative. Give your feedback, listening organization, employees willing to give feedback. They say it as it is. They tell you where it's leaking. Yeah. So for Gen Zs, I can just advise that they should learn the art of feedback, because it gets lost.
Perfect.
Nigeria is a society that is heavy on respect. Yeah. And I won't take that, because I also crave respect. Yeah. But not respect. I'm not your mate. Do you know how old I am?
Do you know who I am?
Do you know who I am? Not that kind of respect, but you're giving me feedback. Yeah. I want you to give it to me so that you don't degrade me. Okay. Say it so that I'm receptive, because there's a way you talk. It's never what you say, it's how you say it. Yeah. So yes, just the art of feedback. That's the only feedback I have for Gen Zs.
So final takes for employees, employers in the new workplace from a professional.
So for employers, move with the times. I mean, it's happening, whether you like it or not. Probably more than 50% of your employees are already considering JAPA. They are probably already in the Express Entry Talent Pool, right? Or they are applying for their UK, Canada, or US masters.
So have the conversations with them.
So have that conversation, right? How far? What can we do better? Or what can keep you here? Surprisingly, we once kept someone who was considering relocating. It can happen. You will be surprised. What exactly can we do to make it better for you? Because it's not cheap to jackpot.
Yeah, true.
So employers, have a listen to your employees. For employees, it's not easy doing business in Nigeria. Yeah. Paying salaries monthly. The way the system is hard on employees is the way it's hard on business owners. Every day, a lot of taxes, a lot of fines are coming up. So see your employers as human. They mean well. Maybe they're not doing it well. So once you don't see the employer as an enemy, you will also be receptive to giving feedback and being able to manage or work with maybe the directives being given. So everyone needs one another.
Perfect. So where do we find you on social media, and how do we follow you? Because this is a digital era.
Yeah, I think for Instagram, my name is Teju, same Teju Fola Alade. I think so. Yeah, for IG, it's Teju Writes. I'm more active on IG. LinkedIn, I like posts, but I try to post every week, but that doesn't happen. I have writer's block a lot, so.
Okay.
But Instagram, Teju Writes, definitely.
Teju Writes. So thank you, Teju, for what you're doing in your space, for sharing your time, for your impact in the workplace, and I appreciate this very well.
Thank you, Charles.
So, don't worry, they've taken away the coconut from me, so but I'll ask you to write. The idea is this, that as professionals, that the big picture for you in the workplace is your ability to see, this is the mark I want to leave here. How do you want to be remembered? What's the big impact you want to make in the workplace?
Breaking the coconut shell.